Ivermectin is an anti-helminthic medication, which means it's to treat worm diseases. And it doesn't treat all worm diseases. It is particularly effective for just a few of the various worm diseases, particularly roundworms. Roundworms are things like whipworms, hookworms, pinworms, and all, but the disease that ivermectin is especially effective at is a disease we don't really see in the United States. It's typically in African countries, some in the South America, Central America, for a disease called onchocercosis, which is river blindness, which is an illness that is transmitted by a fly. There's also another worm disease that's filariasis, which can cause swelling of the legs, particularly, that's disfiguring and disforming. And so, again, a disease that we don't generally see in the United States. So ivermectin really got a lot of attention during the COVID pandemic early on, when we were looking for what options might we have to treat this new novel virus. In the test tube, there was some encouragement that, yeah, this might actually help block the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The problem is that in the test tube, you get much higher concentrations than what you get when you administer the medicine to a person. When it's in your body, it's a lot more complicated. And in fact, the problem with ivermectin is, because it does bind stuff, it actually binds proteins in your blood really well. And what that means is that when you administer it, a lot of it gets tied up just binding to proteins in your blood, so there's not that much free ivermectin in your blood to work on the virus. And in fact, what has subsequently been shown in multiple really high quality studies is it doesn't help prevent COVID and it doesn't help treat COVID. So early on, there were certainly justifications for thinking, wow, wonder if ivermectin might work because it's a known drug, it's fairly inexpensive, it's easy to administer. But we oftentimes have this happen where doctors and scientists get excited about something in the test tube, but it doesn't really pan out in real life, and that was the case for ivermectin. We have to make sure it's a medication that treats the problem we're trying to treat, that we're giving it in the proper dose, the proper number of times a day, and for the right length of time. And ivermectin is a fantastic medicine for the diseases it treats, which again are things like roundworm diseases. Although in a test tube, it does show some antiviral effects, it doesn't work in the human body to prevent those or treat those viral diseases. And so that's why we have to be cautious. And when people say ivermectin is safe, which compared to a lot of other drugs, it has fewer severe side effects, it does cause problems for some people, and I'm aware of a death from ivermectin itself. That can happen if you treat enough people. But when you have a safe drug that you're giving to somebody when there's no benefit, then it's not safe because there's no benefit, it's all risk. And the danger is that thinking that it's a cure-all, that people will take ivermectin for colds, for regular viruses, for other kinds of viral diseases, and it just doesn't work. So first of all, you're wasting money, but second, you're putting yourself at risk from the side effects or adverse effects of the medicine. The more concerning claim is that it can even be used to prevent or treat cancer. And we just really don't have the evidence for that at this time. And it would be wonderful if it turns out that we can find some uses for ivermectin to treat cancer, but we are not there. And my concern is that people thinking that maybe it has anti-cancer effects, which we have not been able to prove, would have a concerning bump or lump or some reason to believe they might have cancer, and they're taking ivermectin thinking that that's going to help them, unfortunately delaying the time that they actually see a doctor to get a proper diagnosis and get on the right medicine, because if ivermectin doesn't work, as there's no evidence that it would, now you're delaying the diagnosis of a cancer, and now a cancer that perhaps we could have treated when early, we may lose the opportunity. So that's a very dangerous strategy, and I think everybody should be very careful about these wild claims of basically ivermectin treats everything. It doesn't. There's very few conditions in the United States that Americans should be taking ivermectin for.